Holy
It's okay. I don't give a
Let me go. Stop. Dude, leave me alone. Oh my gosh. Your daughter is right here. Oh my gosh. Oh my.
All right, stop for a second, because this is one of those stories that flips faster than you expect. But Taylor Frankie Paul was not just another reality name floating around. She was building real momentum, the kind that takes you from TikTok drama into actual mainstream attention, the kind that puts you in rooms most influencers never reach. And she was right there, right on the edge of something bigger. She was about to be the Bachelorette. That's not just another opportunity, that's a full career shift. That's going from internet relevance to national television, bigger audience, bigger money, bigger influence. Everything was lining up for her. And then one video shows up. Not rumors, not speculation, a real clip. And just like that, everything starts collapsing in real time. The show pulled, the season canceled, the opportunity she was about to step into gone overnight. Welcome back to FameThunder. If you're into real celebrity breakdowns without the fake polish, make sure you hit subscribe. Because here's what people don't always understand about this level of fame. It's not just about getting attention. It's about maintaining an image that networks can actually trust. The second that image cracks, everything attached to you becomes a risk. And that's exactly what happened here. One moment she's being positioned as the next big face of a major franchise. Next moment, she's a liability. And in this industry, once that label hits, decisions get made fast. No long explanations, no waiting to see how it plays out. Just cut and move on. If you think this is just another influencer scandal, it's not. This is what it looks like when real-world consequences hit a public image in real time. And trust me, this is just the surface. All right, now let's actually look at the part people can't ignore. Because once you see the video, this stops being internet drama really fast. What you're watching is not a misunderstanding. It's not edited to look worse. It's not taken out of context in a way that changes what's happening. It's direct, it's chaotic, and it's physical. You see Taylor going at Dakota, not arguing from a distance, not just yelling. She's actively aggressive, moving toward him, hitting, escalating. And the entire time, he's trying to pull away, he's telling her to stop. He's not matching the same level of energy. If anything, he's trying to create space, trying to get out of the situation while it keeps pulling him back in. That imbalance is what makes the clip uncomfortable to watch, because it's not two people equally going at each other. It's one person pushing the situation further while the other is trying to disengage. And the longer it goes on, the worse it looks. There's no moment where it de-escalates, no pause where things calm down. It just keeps building. And that's the part that shifts everything. Because people online will debate anything. They'll question context, timing, editing. But this is one of those clips where the behavior is clear. You're literally watching her attack Dakota Mortensen. And once that image is out there, once people see it for themselves, it's almost impossible to walk it back. You can't reframe it. You can't spin it into something softer. It is what it looks like. And that's exactly why this video didn't just create backlash. It changed the entire narrative around her overnight. And then there's the part that completely changes how you see this entire situation. Because it's not just the two of them in that moment. There's a child in the room. And once you realize that, everything hits differently. This isn't some private argument behind closed doors where two adults lose control and deal with the consequences later. This is happening right there, in front of someone who shouldn't be anywhere near that kind of chaos. You can hear it in the clip. The tension, the shouting, the movement. There's no separation between the conflict and the environment around it. It's all happening in the same space. And that's what makes it so uncomfortable to watch, because there's no protection there. No pause, no moment where someone steps in and removes the child from what's going on. It just keeps escalating. And according to reports, it goes even further than just being present. There's a possibility that the child was actually struck during the incident. And that's the point where this stops being something people can debate. Because when it's just adults, people argue, they question context, they try to figure out who's at fault. But when a child is involved, that conversation changes completely. There's no more both sides. There's no more trying to soften what happened. It becomes about safety, about responsibility, about whether this situation should have ever been allowed to happen in the first place. And that's why this part of the story carries so much weight, because it forces people to look at it differently. Not as drama, not as entertainment, but as something real, with consequences that go far beyond just reputation. And this is where it moves from something shocking into something official. Because this didn't stay at the level of a viral clip, there were real consequences. Taylor didn't deny what happened. She pleaded guilty to aggravated assault. So this is no longer about opinions or interpretations. This is a legal outcome, a confirmed situation where responsibility was established in court. And once that happens, everything around you starts to shift. Because brands can distance themselves from rumors. They can wait things out when it's unclear. They can stay quiet when there's doubt. But when there's a guilty plea, there's no ambiguity left. It becomes a liability. And that's exactly where her career took the hit. Because while people online were still processing the video, the industry was already making decisions, fast. The Bachelorette opportunity disappears. Projects tied to her image start collapsing, and the version of her that was being built publicly just doesn't hold anymore. It's like everything that was moving forward suddenly goes into reverse. And the truth is, moments like this don't just pause a career, they reset it. Because once your name is tied to something like this, every future opportunity comes with a question mark. Every partnership becomes a risk calculation. And most of the time, companies don't want to take that risk. That's why it feels so sudden from the outside. One moment everything looks stable, the next, it's gone. But from an industry perspective, it's actually very simple. You become unpredictable. You become controversial, you become something they can't control, and in entertainment, that's enough to shut doors instantly. Which is why, in a very real way, her career went up in smoke almost overnight, not because of one mistake in isolation, but because of what that mistake represented once it became public. Now here's the part that people keep going back and forth on. How did this video even get out? Because this didn't just randomly appear. This is footage from a past incident. It's been around for a while, and yet it surfaces now, right when she's about to step into one of the biggest opportunities of her career. The video ends up with TMZ, and when something lands there, it's usually not by accident. So naturally, the question becomes, who leaked it? At first, people point to Dakota. He's in the video. He's the one being attacked. It would make sense on the surface, but then you start thinking about timing. If he had this footage for years, why release it now? Why wait until this exact moment when everything is about to level up for her? That's where it gets less clear, because it could be someone else entirely, someone who had access to it, someone connected to the situation, someone who decided that now was the time to put it out there. And then there's another angle. What if this wasn't about money? What if it wasn't about exposure? What if it was about forcing a moment? Because from what's been said, this wasn't completely out of character. There are claims that this kind of behavior wasn't just a one-time incident. So when you look at it like that, the leak starts to feel different. Less like a business move, more like someone trying to draw a line, like, enough. Putting it out there in a way that can't be ignored anymore, almost like a wake-up call, or, depending on how you see it, a forced consequence. And the reality is, we may never know exactly who did it, but the timing, that doesn't look random at all. And this is where things get even more uncomfortable. Because the big question is, was this a one-time situation, or is this a pattern? From everything that's come out, it doesn't look isolated. There are claims that this kind of behavior didn't just happen once and stop, that it's been ongoing, that this wasn't some moment of losing control and then learning from it. Because if that were the case, the timeline would look different. You'd expect distance, change, some kind of shift after everything that happened. But that's not what people are pointing to. There are reports of another incident happening recently. Not years ago, not something buried in the past. Recently. And that's where the narrative starts to change again. Because now it's not about what happened back then, it's about what's still happening now. And on top of that, she's still on probation, which makes the situation even more serious. Because probation is supposed to be a period of accountability, a time where behavior is monitored, where the expectation is clear, you don't repeat the same mistakes. So when something happens again during that window, it raises a completely different kind of concern. It suggests that whatever caused the original situation hasn't actually been addressed, that it's not resolved, that it's repeating. And once people start seeing a pattern instead of a single event, the way they judge the situation shifts completely. It's no longer about one bad moment. It becomes about consistency, about whether this is just who someone is choosing to be, even after facing consequences, and that's a much harder thing to defend. And then there's how she's reacting to all of this, because you would expect a moment like this to slow someone down, to make them step back, go quiet, take accountability, process what just happened. But that's not what people are seeing. She's out in public, smiling, walking around, being seen, and not in a low-key way either. It feels intentional, like the attention hasn't stopped, it's just shifted. And that's where people start talking about something deeper, because this doesn't look like someone trying to disappear after a situation like this. It looks like someone's still playing into the spotlight, still engaging with it, still feeding it. And that's where the idea of a feedback loop comes in, where attention itself becomes the goal, not whether it's positive or negative, just attention. Because if the attention is still there, then in a way, the relevance is still there too. And for some people, that line starts to blur, where the difference between good press and bad press doesn't really matter anymore. It's all just visibility. And that's what makes this part of the story so strange to watch. Because while everything around her is taking a hit, career, reputation, opportunities, her behavior doesn't seem to reflect that weight. There's no visible shift, no clear pause. If anything, it almost looks like she's leaning into it. And that's why people are questioning whether this is really about consequences or just another cycle of attention. Because if nothing changes after something this serious, then what actually would? And then there's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Because beyond the headlines, beyond the video, beyond the internet reactions, there's a real-life situation unfolding. Her child has been taken away, at least temporarily, and she's not allowed to see them until a specific date. That's not speculation, that's not online drama, that's a real consequence. And when it reaches that level, everything shifts again. Because now it's not about image, it's not about career, it's not about public opinion, it's about responsibility as a parent, and what it means when that responsibility is questioned to the point where access to your own child is restricted. That's serious. Because systems don't make decisions like that lightly. There has to be enough concern, enough evidence, enough reason to step in and say, this situation isn't safe right now. And that's where this story hits differently. Because it's no longer something you can frame as just a mistake that went too far. It's something that has real, ongoing impact, not just on her, but on her child, on their environment, on what they're exposed to. And when you think about everything that's already happened, everything that's already been shown, it starts to connect in a way that's hard to ignore. Because consequences like this don't come out of nowhere. They follow patterns, they follow behavior, and when it gets to the point where a parent can't see their own child, even temporarily, that's not just a warning, that's a line being drawn. And it forces a different kind of question, not about fame, not about reputation, but about whether things are actually changing or just continuing under a different spotlight. And this is the part people don't always think about. Because it's easy to look at this and see it as just her story, her mistake, her consequences, her career. But it doesn't stop there. Because when something like this happens at that level, it affects a lot more than just one person. That Bachelorette season, it wasn't just about her. There were producers, camera crews, editors, coordinators, dozens, sometimes hundreds of people whose work depends on that show moving forward. And when the season gets pulled, all of that stops. Projects get delayed, plans get scrapped, people lose time, money, opportunities, all because one central figure becomes too much of a risk to continue. And that's the part that makes this even bigger, because now it's not just a personal fallout. It's a ripple effect, an entire production impacted, a franchise forced to adjust, a timeline disrupted. And in an industry like this, where everything is scheduled, budgeted, tightly planned, one disruption like that creates a chain reaction. And the harsh reality is, most of those people don't get a say in it. They just deal with the consequences. Which is why situations like this hit differently behind the scenes than they do online. Online, it's content, it's discussion, it's headlines. Behind the scenes, it's real work being affected, real people adjusting to decisions they didn't make. And all of it ties back to one moment that shifted everything. That's when you realize this was never just about one person's image. It became something much bigger than that. And this is where everything comes together. Because at the start, it looks like another headline, another messy situation, another piece of content people react to and move on from. But the deeper you go, the harder it is to see it that way. This isn't just drama. It's decisions, it's patterns, it's consequences that don't just disappear once the internet moves on. Because what happened here didn't stay online. It affected real opportunities, real people, real lives. And at some point, it stops being about what people are saying and starts being about what actually happened. That's the line, where things shift from entertainment into reality. Because you can build an image, you can control a narrative, you can shape how people see you for a long time, but eventually, your actions catch up to that image. And when they do, there's no editing around it, no rebranding in the moment, no way to separate the two. And that's what this situation really shows. Not just how fast things can fall apart, but why they do. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about being misunderstood, it's about choices and the consequences that come with them, whether people are watching or not. If you made it this far, subscribe to FameThunder, because we're not here to just repeat headlines. We break down what's actually happening behind them. And trust me, there's always more.